So we are recording.
Great.
Folks. Holla.
Hey, bitches.
I always try to be as awkward. Actually, this reminds me, somebody subscribed like a week ago to Getcha Some Guitar. And their comment was, this is just the right balance between information and awkward. I just subscribed. So that's officially what we're going for, is some balance between awkward and information. So we're going to do the intro. This is the Getcha Some Productions podcast and now vlog. So if you're listening to this on a podcast app and you want to see our ugly mugs, you can go to the Getcha Some Productions YouTube channel and check it out there. But it is just a conversation. There's not going to be any fireworks or anything. But the Getcha Some Productions podcast I'm reading is a podcast covering all things related to music production, even going out and even ordering Chinese food. From the first note to the last fan and everything in between, we create music ostensibly and try to inspire others to do the same. My name's Keith.
And my name's Daniel, and I definitely like Chinese food, specifically hot tofu, okay? Mm-hmm.
Which one? Mapo tofu?
Mapo tofu.
Mapo.
Yeah.
I got to get more money because my po tofu is too po.
Yo, that's racist.
Is it really? Shit balls.
We have a special guest today. I'm going to interrupt you, Keith.
Fine, good.
I'm going to interrupt you. We have a special guest today, a dear friend and collaborator of many, many years.
Many.
Super excited to just to have him around again in our lives.
Right
Mr.
there.
Raja Azar. Raja, why don't you say hi?
Hi, I'm Raja. I too enjoy Chinese food. Anything with MSG.
This is a podcast about Chinese food and how much we like it.
Excellent.
Right.
Yeah, Raja's a good friend of ours for many, many years and a longtime collaborator. I would say a evil wizard of synthesizers. Do you want to talk about your projects or anything like that?
Yeah, sure. Well,
Or what you got going on?
As you said, I'm a pianist and a synth player. Studied mostly classical music and, like modern classical stuff. And then just kind of went on from there, got into electronics. And now I'm kind of obsessed with synthesizers. Have been since like the 90s, when I got my first Roland JP-8000, which I still have. Look, it's just it's right there.
Oh, baby. Hi, baby.
JP-8000. Remember this guy?
Wow.
This is the Whiz-Bang.
Yep.
Is that the exact same one you've had the whole time?
What's that?
Is that the exact same one you've had?
Yeah, the exact same one. I've had to take it apart and reassemble it a few times.
Wow.
But yeah, it's still alive and kicking. I've had it for what? I don't know, like 97. So
That's incredible.
like 20 some
24
odd
years. Yeah.
I love that thing. Still my favorite. Even with all the like fancy, crazy shit I've gotten since then.
Yeah.
Still my favorite scent. It's just because I know it so well. I've spent so much time up in its guts, so I just do anything with that.
I can remember you playing some insane sounds.
Yeah.
Do you remember? First of all, between that keyboard and that awesome amplifier you had, it was just like a sonic, it was like a sonic weapon or something. Just like it would spit out things that would just fill the whole room up.
Yeah.
From your evil mind to our nerve endings.
Nerd endings.
Nerd endings. Not
So,
nerve
Raja,
endings, nerd endings.
let me get this back on track here, you big goofball. Raja, you've been posting some really interesting stuff online. I'd love for you to quickly tell us about the project you're working on now downtown.
Okay.
And just a little bit about that. And yeah.
And we'll put a link in.
All right.
Yeah, send us
Yeah.
links and stuff, and we'll put it in the, like, just text me links, and I'll put it in the.
Yeah,
description.
I'll do that. I'll I'll send you a link to it. We've got like a Bandcamp and an Instagram,
Good.
a YouTube channel, all that shit. But yeah, so what it is this is, so, you know, there was a long period of time, I'd say about like 5, maybe even longer, 7 or 8 years, where I kind of had just like not done any music at all. Like all my synths were boxed up, and I was, you know, as I had like new baby, new family, had moved from New York over here to the West Coast, and I was just kind of in like, honestly, like not the greatest headspace anyway, just, you know, from like life shit that was going on. So I was just like, oh, I guess I'm not a musician anymore. I'm a barista for life. But then a friend of mine called me up. He was a drummer. He's the drummer, Dane Hudson, who's like a local Seattle musician. He plays in like basically every good Seattle punk band that's around right now. He's and he just called me up. He sent me a link to a downtown demo. I was like, hey, you want to play in this group? And I heard it, and, you know, basically it was just this, like, it almost sounded kind of like Ladytron. Like, I don't know if you remember that. Remember them? That electronic pop duo. It was like evil Ladytron, kind of. And I was like, oh, this is great. It was like right up my alley, you know. It was just in terms of the like sonic language of it was, you know, I instantly was like, I know this like resonates with me. I can do it. So I just jumped in. This was like, I guess 3 years ago now. And it's evolved a little more now beyond just like what it initially started out as like a 2-man thing. Nick Markle, the like lead guy, he writes most of the, well, he wrote all the songs and the lyrical content and stuff. And it was just like him on bass with an iPod playing backing tracks at first. And oh no, he was singing, I don't know, you know, it's one of those projects that's kind of had like an evolving cast for a little bit, but it's basically now it's just Nick and I, electronic, synth-driven punk rock, basically, like in the vein of like, you know, like Devo or Trans Am, Suicide. Like, we get all kinds of weird comparisons. Like, someone said we were like Atari Teenage Riot at some point, which you know, that's kind of cool. I used to be into them, but it's in that world of just like kind of noisy, slightly arty, subversive electronic punk rock.
High energy. Definitely high energy.
Very high energy. We make videos, like weird lo-fi videos. And the cool thing is that right now, you know, there's just been this resurgence of interest in that, you know, with like synthwave suddenly becoming popular, and this like explosion of interest in synthesizers and electronic music in general. So it was like I joined up with these guys, and we started writing new stuff and performing right at the same time as just like the pop culture, the general, like, you know, consensus in the popular music world is that like weirdo electronics are like cool and interesting again. So it was that kind of perfect timing. I mean, it's not like we're like doing well or popular or anything. Like we're actually like, people in Seattle kind of hate us for some reason.
Really? Why?
We're just a little too like dick in the ditch, goofball, like edgy for them. Like, you know, one of our songs, it was called Dirty Honky, and it was about like a guy who is like basically about like a pedophile. And like some dude was like threatening to punch the singer in the face after one of our shows in
Lord.
Seattle. He was like, these lyrics are offensive, and
yeah.
they're like,
Cancel culture.
it's funny, you know, because we're like very like lefty kind of guys, but the content of this, like lyrically, it's very like, you know, we just poke fun at everything. It's satire, very satirical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you know, it's just like a general kind of like, people seem to lack a sense of humor or imagination or an appreciation for, they like forget how satire works these days, it seems like. So we've been labeled as like, I don't know, like white supremacist jocks or something by certain people. So
misunderstood. Are you saying you're misunderstood?
What was that?
You're misunderstood.
Yeah, a little bit, you know. But the people who get it and love it, like really fucking love it, which is cool. You know, so yeah, we're working on a new EP right now. We put an EP out like in 2019. It was called Headhunter, and yeah, we're working on some new stuff, which I think is it's going to be pretty great. It's kind of like we're going for a little less like straightforward, like punk rocky, and, you know, like a little more dancey, and, you know, we're kind of trying to throw a little disco in there.
Awesome.
You know? So, yeah.
I love that.
Hell yeah. Well, I've loved everything you put out so far.
Yeah. Super entertaining.
Yeah. The music is really fun. I don't mind the edginess of it at all. I think it's hilarious. And the videos are completely bonkers, which is totally fun to watch.
Yes.
There were several videos that like made my day. Like just, I was like having one of those days where it was just like, blah, nothing, just a day. And then I watched one of your videos, a couple of them, and I was just like, you know what? It seems like Raj is still keeping it real. At least somebody's keeping it real around here.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna, you know, we'll put in links, and Raji, you send us all the links you want, you know, and so we can definitely promote your stuff for your band. And I think this is a perfect like part in the time of the conversation to segue into like collaborating with us, you know, and what makes you like interested in jazz.
Yeah.
Playing jazz.
Let's talk about why we even had the idea. Because and I don't even remember anymore actually, exactly how it came up, but it was something like maybe we were texting and then you said like, maybe Raja said like, oh yeah, I always wanted to learn jazz or something, and then I was like, oh yeah, me too, and then we decided to like just do like a long distance collaboration.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how it happened? I can't even remember now.
Basically how it happened. Yeah, we were just I don't know. We were having just some, you know, one of those sprawling, rambling text conversations, and somehow we started talking about like whatever. Yeah, jazz. I think we were talking about like a Love Supreme or something, and then you just threw out the idea of us recording a version of flamenco sketches from Kind of Blue.
Right.
And I mean, I was like, yes, I would love to do that. Because I don't know shit about jazz. Like I classically trained, which basically means I have zero improvisation abilities. Like, I can read music. I can like get all fucking theoretical and whatever, but when it comes down to actually like receiving like a chart and improvising over it, I'm just completely lost. Like,
let me take a really let me actually just like back up for 1 second, because I think some people are going to watch this and not really understand what they're watching. So and this is sort of like background on the channel and the podcast in general. What we're doing is sort of like a live, what Dan and I've been doing for the past, this is probably going to be episode maybe 30-ish or something, I don't know, of the podcast. This is the first vlog. This is the first video that people are going to see. But we basically have like a running business meeting, essentially, where everything that we do, practically everything that we do, is in public view. So when Raja came in and wanted to collaborate with us, I said, well, we better do it on the podcast, because everything we do in this project is sort of in public view. So what people are witnessing right now is actually like the diner conversation of how like we're going to start the project. Like we haven't had a conversation at all about what we're going to do at all, except technically we did, and then it was the recording was lost. So this is a redo.
yeah.
So technically we have had the conversation, but this is like the actual live conversation of, we've decided we're going to collaborate, but what are we going to do? We don't know. And it was basically jazz. The idea was to do jazz, but we didn't really, focus much more than that. And so I think, my idea was that I wanted to learn, I have some background in jazz, but I still suck like terribly at it. And so I wanted to learn, and I want to do a project with you guys where maybe we kind of learn concurrently in a way.
Yeah.
So for my part in it, I'm happy with just doing, just whatever the bare, I don't even know, whatever it ends up being, like as simple as it needs to be for us to make something that's improvised.
Yeah.
And always improvised, and maybe systematically build up from there would be fine for me. So that's just my part. That's like my sort of most basic thrust in it. So did you guys have any, like, why don't you guys say, like, in a basic sense, like what you kind of want to get out of the project, and we'll try to figure out, like, maybe some real basic stuff, and then we'll have to have a follow-up call to sort of nail it down. But like, what do you want? Like my whole thing is like, and Dan and I have had this thing, is like, what's the one thing we can do? So I feel like the one thing we can do, the best thing we can do actually right now, is like, what can we dream about the project? Or what do you want to get out of it?
Right. Well, I'm going to jump in. And then go over to Raj. Is basically what I want to get out of it more than anything, even, is really to reignite and or solidify like the artistic connections between you and you, Raja, and Keith. You guys, like, we worked together for so many years, and it was always a rewarding process through the ups and downs. You know what I mean? So I want to like get that connection again. And then that's in a really like a personal sense. And then artistically, I'd like to develop musically by challenging myself, because jazz is outside of my comfort zone. I am super comfortable improvising, just like doing whatever, but not so much like in the style or the the genre of jazz specific. Whatever. But so that's what I want to do. I want to challenge myself musically and reconnect personally with you guys.
Me too.
Yeah. No, totally. Like for me, I guess when I say I'm terrible at improvising, I guess I'm really good at, because I spent years doing just like weird, crazy noise music and experimental stuff. So when it comes to that type of improv, like just you know, exploring like timbre and structure and kind of like non-traditional ways. I'm good at that, but I can't, I'm, you know, like, you know, the more like in like a jazz or rock or those types of idioms, like more standard idioms, I'm not good at it. So for me, like, that's what I want. You know, you mentioned us doing this, and I was like, it would be just like a great opportunity for me to like practice that and try and start like just getting a little better at that language. Because I'm like stuck right now in like a certain type of tonality. Like I've got like the downtown tonality, which is like, you know, we use a lot of like diminished kind of scales and lots of like tritones and whole, you know, the more like kind of like out kind of chord and melodic structures.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like get pretty fluent in doing that. And then I can like play a fucking, you know, like pentatonic blues scale. And I'm just like, I'm stuck in that like pentatonic kind of way of thinking about things. And it really just like bums me out. I'm just always sounds like, fuck. I want to like try and break out of this. I need to learn like more. So this to me is an opportunity to like learn that while also bringing the kind of like crazy out there experimental timbres and sounds that I'm super into and can do with all of this electronic stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, let me just also, because now I'm remembering one of our earlier conversations because of what you just said, because I think that the idea was that I think that maybe you and I were chatting one day or something, and then I was like, well, wouldn't it be funny if it, and I think, okay, so maybe it was that Miles Davis conversation about flamenco sketches. Like, what if we did something that sounded like real traditional jazz? And I was going to take like a method book of like jazz chord progressions that are like real standard, typical sounding jazz harmony, and the specific voicings for guitar. And this was going on in my mind when I mentioned it. But then, Raja, you would take like the craziest synth sound, but play like traditional jazz on top of it.
Yeah.
Not that that would be, not, you know, maybe it's a great idea. Maybe it's an awful idea. I don't know. But I just think like that would be something to try. And I don't want to like, I'm not sure if we should get into too many, like how many ideas, because I feel like I think we got a great start. And I think that we have sort of like, we have an idea of what the starting point is. And now maybe we can each take, like draw from that and take away from this conversation and think of like, how can we practically start to do it? Like practically, like number one, how are we going to share? Like, how are we going to collaborate over the distance? Number one, the geographic distance, and then specifically, what are we going to work on?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, may not be actually. The idea of flamenco sketches was a good idea to start, but I'm actually against playing actual songs to a certain degree, just because I actually do think we should have an eye toward producing an actual finished product, like an album of some sort or something. And I just like, the more I look into dealing with the copyright issues with producing someone else's song, it annoys the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And because we're trying to create like an actual production company, and we don't have the logistical, like, you know, stuff worked out to actually, you know, get those and deal with those copyright issues.
Yeah, let me jump in there, Keith.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying, and I don't think that's going to be that much of a speed bump for us at writing our own stuff, because we are all super creative.
Right.
And genre aside, like writing the chords and melody of a jazz song, like Raja, like you could do it. We could all do it. It's really how you improvise and expand upon just like the little form that's the real challenge.
Right.
But as far as yes, I think this whole conversation, this is sort of a good like wrap up point, because we sort of introduced us as the players, sort of what our motivations are.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, as you just said, Keith, like the next stage is like figuring out the practical parts of the process. How are we going to start doing our work? And the more specifics of the nuts and bolts,
Yeah.
if you will, is like the next convo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree.
And one that we should, yeah.
No, I agree. I think that we don't need to worry too much about like the technical aspects of it just right now. Like, I have a feeling we're probably just going to end up using like GarageBand or something because it's free and super easy.
Yeah.
And it works, works great. So, but I think what we should do is figure out like, I like the idea of using like a method book or something. Like I don't think we even need to worry about working towards a finished product right now. Like we just need to get like practicing and working and just kind of, in like the brainstorming type of zone.
Totally.
Where we're just like, where we're like, okay, we agree, like this week we're all going to work on this one chord progression. You could even just like send us a scan of like a couple pages from the whatever book, or we could go out and buy it ourselves, and we just start messing around with it. We can send each other wave files of our noodlings, and we can like, and the idea of, what you said about, doing it like, kind of standard jazz form with, we have a chord structure, and then we're like, play ahead, and then we're like improvising like that, but with like crazy sounds. I like that, it'll be fun, and it'll like, if we just choose something simple, originally we're like, yeah, well, let's try and do, Caravan by Duke Ellington, we don't even need to start with something that like pre-formed, like I actually really dig the idea of just doing some method book exercises, kind of all, that way we're all like kind of starting from the ground up together and practicing together, and we're generating ideas together, and there's not like a thing that like, oh, this has to have like the Caravan melody, and it has to have like the struck, like, no, fuck all that. We're just gonna start like practicing together, basically.
Yes. Well, I'm very much into that, because that's all I do is practice and produce a finished product.
Yeah. And then once we decide we want to start like actually like recording something for real, then we can get into like the nuts and bolts of what software we're going to use, or we don't even have to all use the same software. It's not that difficult to like share cross-platform. You just have to know how to do that.
Yeah.
I know how to do that. I've been doing everything that I've been working on with Downtown for the last year because of the pandemic has all been remote. And, I use Ableton Live. Nick uses GarageBand. We actually do all the main recording and stuff and mixing in GarageBand. Like that's how the last 2 albums were recorded.
Yeah.
And then like the dude that we send it to for like the ultimate, final like mixing and mastering bounces everything back into Ableton to do it. So it's not that tough to do.
Cool. Okay.
I know how to do it. I'll help you guys figure it out.
Awesome.
You had problems with that, so. But that's like down the line, let's just start fucking doing something.
Okay. We'll just send each other some files and just get going.
Yeah. All right. So Raj, I think that's a great idea. And I think, Raj, you and I should defer to Keith here for some basic starting material, like vis-a-vis the method books. Keith, I'm sure you have a whole shelf with them up there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he's the most well-versed in this. I have The Wisdom of the Hand, a guide to the jazz pentatonic scales.
No way.
Yeah. And I also got Chick Corea's book, too.
Which one?
Which is
the new one?
The new one that he came out with. He put it out like last year, just before he died.
Yeah, I wanted to get that.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Cool. So we should get that, Keith. That should be like the next on the agenda.
That's my assignment.
Yeah. And you can just vis-a-vis. We'll just keep texting. I like texting. I mean, some people like creating their whole thing on Slack or whatever, but I mean, you guys are like my best friends, so like we should just do this.
Do it.
no, texting
Oh,
is the
yeah.
best way for me also.
Yeah.
Because I
Good.
Cool.
right on.
All right, so we're rolling, guys.
Let's
Nice,
do it.
yeah. So your homework isn't just like Keith. Your homework is to just send us some shit, whatever. I don't care what it is. I just get this ball rolling. Find something cool, and tell us that this is what we're gonna do, and then we'll just start fucking doing it.
Cool.
Nice.
Yes.
Rock on.
All right.
Okay, so let's we're gonna close this up. Thanks for listening, watching, whatever you've been doing. Please like and subscribe. Please go into the show notes and click on all of Raj's stuff and, you know, buy his stuff or whatever, or like listen to his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And stay tuned for some true genius. And and then the last thing that we always say is, because our modus operandi, which is something I don't think I've ever said before, is to inspire everyone to go do something. So we had this conversation. We're hopefully been inspiring each other to go do something, and we're gonna do something now. And now all of you out there, all of our, you know, hundreds of thousands of listeners and viewers should also go out and do something. Go make music, and you know, be more human or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just go do it. It's fucking easy. If I could do it, anyone could.
You know what I like? It's just go play music. It's easy.
It's
What's wrong
yeah.
with you?
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with
easy.
What's wrong with you? It's so easy. You
That's
you idiots. All right, guys.
all right. Awesome. We'll do it again soon. All right.
Right on.
Word
Peace
up.
out. Love you guys.
Bye.